Mattman here, and we better get ready for the new SVS because, like any other working event, they got to screw with it. They can't screw with the events that don't work. So here we go. Let's talk some strategy and get ready for the new stuff. Mattman! Hey everybody, help me out. Subscribe and like this video. Thanks. All right, and you're gonna have to excuse the crudeness of this. We don't actually have this event in our state, but I'm so interested in the strategy behind all this. This part of the change I like. The fact that they're going to move things around and make them a little different. There's certain aspects of it that I think can be good. It's all going to come down to implementation. Now, let me make my opinion on why I think they've done this. When you have every state in the entire game playing for 8 hours on a Saturday, every other Saturday, that's 8 hours of CPU time for every single state on every single person playing. Whereas this way they limit that down to 1 hour, and they could spread out the states for for 5-6 different times and get a lot more CPU power towards it. It's going to seem laggy between now and then, but my guess is it'll make a big difference once they're done. That's just my opinion. It's all about money. It's cut it down to an hour, and they've probably done some calculations to determine that the cost of us buying packs and stuff will be about equal, because of the way they sped things up, to what it was when we were playing for 6 or 8 hours and using heals the whole time, and a bunch of food and resources that we collected that we don't actually even buy anymore. So let's talk about some of the basics first, for those of us who don't know and haven't seen other videos on what's going on. So let's talk about some of the basics. Now, I've just got this on a screenshot here, so I can highlight things on the screen. And what I'm going to should probably just do is just take a picture of it here, and that way I can write on the screen also. So here's what I'm thinking. The first thing to know about the new capital event is you're fighting over 5 different buildings. There technically is 9, but let's start off by saying, look, the first 30 minutes of the battle is only talking about these 4 buildings. So you're fighting for them just like we used to do in Capital, but the big difference is that now you're fighting for all 4 at the same time in different locations on the map. And from what I've seen, you can only join one rally in one location. So that means that if you're going to attack this building here, you are going to need to have a full regiment of fillers and rally leaders, and most likely garrison leaders, if you're going to want to hold it for any length of time, to do that. Now, that means that one good strategy could be, it's a very difficult one to organize, was very much like we used to do in the very early days of Reservoir Raid. Now, this does have some, I don't want to say it smells a lot like Reservoir Raid, but it really does here. And basically what we're doing is we're fighting for time in these different buildings to add up. Now, for the first 30 minutes, now, these are the only 4 buildings that we can fight for. And as you can see from the dollars, or the amounts on each one of these, that this one is 1,200 per minute of holding time per team. Now, the scoring is done in 2 different parts from what I understand. There's a team state score, and then there is an individual score. Individual score is good for nothing but rewards. It's the state score that determines who wins Capital. Now, if you wanted to know what that looked like, I've got a screen here in a minute. I'll show you how that scoring looks and stuff as you're playing. But anyway, so for this first 30 minutes, you're fighting over these buildings just like you do in Reservoir Raid, where you have different water plants, water treatment plants, and water processing plants that are worth different amounts. Here you're working for the same thing. Now, as far as strategy is concerned for Capital, this is a mammoth shift. Because before, in Capital, you weren't just fighting over these 4 buildings, you were literally fighting to hold these towers, to shoot whoever's in here and cause them damage, and you got points for that, and you got points for holding this, and any troops that got damaged, and any troops that got that you killed. So it's a completely different scoring system. Now, even when you did all of that, the only thing that mattered was holding this. Holding this counted as time and capital, and you had to have the alliance with to get 4 hours won. If you got that 4 hours straight, then the battle ended. If you got a total of 4 at the end of the 8-hour battle, you were the winner. So that's kind of the difference between them. Now, strategy-wise, though, this is going to be very, very different, because at 30 minutes in, you've heard all the saying that the battle lasts for 60 minutes. So these 4 buildings, the battle continues for the entire 60 minutes. Now, that means, I'm going to put 60 right over here. That means that each of these you continue to fight for 60 minutes. And then at the 30-minute marker, and for the last 30 minutes, you fight for capital. Now, as you can see, capital is worth 3,000. Now, I don't think it's a coincidence that the 1,800 here and the 1,800 here, adding all those 4 together, the 1,800 on the left side and the 1,800 on the right side, add up to more than the capital. So theoretically, if you hold those 4, just like in Reservoir Raid, if you held all the buildings around the outside, you can win without getting the center. Same thing's true here. If you hold all those, you can win without taking the center. Now, that said, you know as well as I do, the battle doesn't go that way. Now, one big thing that's going to affect strategy majorly from my perspective is going to be the speed at which this battle goes. It is very fast paced. So what do I mean by that? Let's talk about that for a second. So in the traditional fights, you had a 5-minute rally. Everybody waited for 5 minutes. They marched slow. All the slow marches are gone. Everything moves quickly. From what I've seen and some of the things I've heard, most of the marches from anywhere around Capital all the way in to hit is between 11 and 19 seconds. That means that all of those march times that we used to sit around and watch, and everybody would prepare, and people would zoom stuff in, and people would zoom this in, and you're not going to have those times to respond anymore. Rally times are now 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 4 minutes. You no longer are going to wait 5 minutes for someone to build a rally. Now, keep in mind, you have a 30-minute max time here while these other buildings fights are all going on. But those 4 rally times are very fast-paced. If you were fighting for bunkers in the last few days, you noticed that those rally times, they had a 1-minute rally there, and it's a much faster-paced type thing than it is what we're traditionally used to, the very slowed-down version of Capital. So, let's talk a little bit of strategy here. What is going to be the best strategy to win this? And that really becomes where the interesting part of this comes from, because you only have 30 minutes here, and you only have the first 30 minutes in these 4 buildings here. So if that is the case, then are you better trying to get the most points and split the difference, or are you better just trying to take the whole world? And I think it's going to be a lot like Reservoir Raid. So look at it this way. We know that most likely, just like in Reservoir Raid, this building, the 600-point building, is going to be the least popular building there is. Simply because it's worth the least, then it's going to be the least popular. But this one is going to be the most popular. But most states only have one really big rally leader, and the rest all take towers. So that means all of our tower fighters now and our major rally leader are all going to be here battling for these 4 all at the same time, trying to get these points. And so you've got a couple of different ways that you could do this. You could focus on, which I've seen a couple of different thoughts of strategy. You could focus on getting the 12 and a 9, just those 2, and you pull out in the lead, and you for that first 30 minutes, you're getting 2,100 points a minute, and you're more than the competitor at 1,500. That would be this one, and this one would only be 1,500, whereas this one and this one are going to be the 1,200, and the 900 is going to be 2,100. So if you can hold those buildings and you let them have those buildings, then that could be what it is. Now, one strategy that I think would be probably good is to have 2 good, clean groups hold the red side, the red bases, get the points. Have your other tower rally leaders and other tower holders and stuff that are there, that are coming and going, go and fight for these and steal some time away so that time can pile up a little bit. And it also keeps them distracted while you're messing with them here and here. It keeps them distracted away from your buildings. That's one strategy. Another strategy is what a lot of us do is, especially in Reservoir Raid, is you start off by taking the most expensive buildings, and if you can hold them, then you expand your strategy. So you would start off by sending your strongest guy and team here, and if you can here and here as quickly as possible, and see if you can hold them. If you can, then you would expand to here and here. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when center comes available, you move this guy down here and hope that you have enough left, because their big guy is going to be there also to fighting for center, that you either would lose one of these and move somebody in, or you would be able to hold them all. Now, holding them all is a little bit different. Now, a lot of people ask at this point when I was talking about this, what about the towers? Now, here's what's going on with the towers. All of the towers are available. So you can go in and you can take all of the towers. Let's see if I can get this board to clean off here. You can take all of the towers and you can sit there and you can shoot at the other guy and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. And you personally will get lots of points. But there is no team or state points added to the score. That means that these are only glory seekers going to be sitting in these towers here, because nobody in there is helping you actually win. They are strictly, and my thought for that is going to be those small alliances that normally don't get to compete, that refuse to join other ones. That's where they're going to end up. They're going to end up in those towers, and it may be that if you take the center and you have to take 1 or 2 of these just to keep from getting hit. The nice part is that's going to distract you from these out here on the outskirts. Now, keep in mind, all of this happens within an hour. You have a 30-minute of it only being the 4 on the outside, and then you have another 30 minutes with it being all 5 buildings you're battling for, and so you have a 30 minutes of it being only these out here, and then you have another 30 minutes with this added in, for a total of 60 minutes that you're fighting for all 4 of these. And the first 30, it's just these, and the second 30, it's these and the center. So there's going to be some strategies. So you can either get the big one and a medium-sized one and have more points, or you could go for a tie and take the 2 mediums if you can't hold the big one, but you can't get the big one, but you can hold these 2. Or the alternative is if the other team decides to take both the large and the small and you can't kick them out, then you're going to have to deal for the medium and the small yourself, and that's going to make things interesting also. So this is going to be a really interesting type strategy fight here on what works and what don't work. Who can play and who can't play. So the question's been asked also, well, what about super alliances? And To be honest with you, I'm not sure at this point. I think Super Alliance is a fantastic idea for this, because then you can help people out regardless if they're over here and you're over here and you want to jump over there to help them take it and then jump back so that you can go on there or whatnot. That part of it is fantastic. But the problem becomes with all of the new rally or new RR leagues, and with Reservoir Raid League coming up, then you're not allowed to move around. And when you're not allowed to move around, then it becomes, okay, Alliance, you're going to have to split these up by Alliance, and your enemy becomes your frenemy. So let's say you have Alliance 1 go here. Whoops. Alliance 1 go here, and Alliance 2 go here. Use a different color. And you take those two, and maybe Alliance 3 goes here, and then you figure out what's going on there, or you leave these two small ones for the small alliances, and the two big alliances fight for these. It all depends on your state and your state's makeup. In our state, we'll definitely have 2 alliances fighting when we're in Reservoir Raid, and possibly even 3. But it's all going to come down to, do you have the right rally leaders that people are strong enough? Now, the other thing I think is going to be an interesting strategy to this is the only way you can attack nowadays is on the gray, which means if they're not on the gray, you can't hit them. At least that's what I've heard. So the question becomes, with there being no KE across the states, with you not being able to whip up on their state and go burn down hives and barbecue, or whatever you want to call it, a barbecue or a roast or whatever it happens to be, with that not in existence, will everyone revert back to fighting on the grays? And then the question becomes, well, if you hit somebody on the gray and they lose, do they port? This works in some of the smaller states. You can hit, somebody big with a brand new P5, and where they don't go to P8 or 9 or 10 yet, or a brand new P10 that's in a state that doesn't have a whole bunch still has a bunch of smaller ones. You can hit 4 or 5 of them, knock them out of there, and jump out and go somewhere else. So maybe the KE gets mixed in with the event. That could cause some really interesting results, because then the crazy part of building extra troops and making sure you're prepared for it aren't just there for having a bunch of troops, and they're not just good for RR. They'll be good here also. And then also keep in mind troop losses. This is one thing I think that's going to affect us all. In every alliance, there's that person who, loses 15 troops and then thinks the world's coming to an end and they don't like it anymore and they don't want to be there. I've seen it in RR, where they go in RR, where you're getting all your troops back, and they take a couple of hits, and they decide they don't like this. They don't like getting lost troops. So they bug out on you and leave you with holding the bag. That's going to be a very difficult thing to deal with. So, but there's not really a whole lot we can do about it. So I wanted to show you this. This pops up while you're playing and kind of gives you the scores. I didn't get to see from the video. I know that this was your state and this is the other state. Just like on SVS, it keeps the scores with blue with yours and red with them. Same thing holds true here. And I'm assuming that if you clicked on that there, it would take you to a screen that would show you your personal stats. Although it might be that there that you click on that you go to your personal stats. But it was nice. I thought it was good that they put the score right on the screen where you can see it, kind of like Reservoir Raid has it across the top. And I even believe that even in this screen here, yeah, it was across the top here too. So it's very obvious when you're on this summary screen. This screen was a picture that came from in Reservoir Raid. When you click that top right hand button that shows you the whole Reservoir Raid map and what buildings are handled and where all the different water places and plants and stuff is, and where everything's scattered. This is that same one. This isn't your battle map. When you're in battle, you're going to see this at the bottom, just like when you're in a normal SVS prep stage and you see it at the bottom. Only once you get into state warfare, you'll see it here. Then it shows this screen. So this is my first thoughts on strategy. I think those type of people are going to have a really hard time with it. I think there's another group of people that are going to have a hard time with it, but like some of us, they're going to have learned to live with the fact that battle like this means enlistment for a week, sometimes 10 days. And that is just a fact of life, and that means that it all comes down to a week is no big deal. Once you get beyond a week, it gets a little bit harder to swallow, because then you're losing troops during reservoir raid also. So hopefully it won't be too much worse than that. The other thing that I've noticed is that it's 1 hour. So that means it's going to be like a professional football player where you go all out for 1 hour, as opposed to sitting back on your heels and taking it easy, healing up between them. You don't have time to heal between them. You are going to leave this game with a full hospital. You are going to leave this game, if you're playing actively for a real hour at the pace that I've seen, you are going to leave with some troops in enlistment, and you're going to need the recoup stage to recover some of those troops. So that scares a lot of people, and I think that we're going to start off with 10% of the players actively fighting and playing, and another 90% are going to be scared of it, and I think the 60 or 70% of them will come around. And the nice thing about this is those that have been around forever, that you wish you could have participate in reservoir raid, well, this is very much going to be very much like a reservoir raid, only statewide. So I think that aspect of it could be good, and I think this might end up as a good thing. I'm really having a hard time with it, because I liked the way it was, but at the same time, I can see where the appeal could be to this after we get used to it. After, it's like, you're a kid and somebody takes your toy away and gives you a different toy, where you're upset not because you don't have a cool new toy, you're upset because the toy you're used to isn't there anymore. And I think that might be the case here. Anyway, please subscribe, comment below. I'd love to hear your opinions, and I'd love to make a couple more of these videos about strategy, and I'd love to have all of your thoughts and everything in there. What's another interesting thing to think about with a strategy is, how does this change garrisoning heroes? How does this change attacking? Do we have time to do all that still effectively? Because some of the things that I've seen have been very, very fast paced, and I'm not sure how much of that. It's going to come down to a lot of coordination there. The nice thing is speed ups and that kind of thing, I don't think are going to be as important anymore, because the marches are only 15, 16, 17 seconds. So anyway, we will talk to you again next time, guys. I appreciate it, and hopefully I'll have some more videos coming out. And believe it or not, I have recorded 3 times an RR, and 3 times I didn't realize the space on my iPad was full, and that's why I didn't get the videos. And so I was going to do some reservoir raid type analysis and walk you through what happened there. So I promised to have some of those, and it also happened to me at Capitol last week also. So all the different videos I've had planned for almost 2 weeks, and everything's gone bust on me. So this one is going out, and hopefully tomorrow after the regular Capitol, I'll have another one for you for something on that one, and we'll talk about it then. And I appreciate you. Again, subscribe, click on that little bell so you see the new ones, and make sure you like the video. That helps me out a lot. I appreciate it. Let's talk to you later. One more update. I had a lot of people ask about the dog bark at the very beginning in my intro and my exit. I put it in there intentionally. I always like to have my dogs around. Hey everybody, help me out. Subscribe and like this video. Thanks.